Kingdom, to the west coast of Orange County, California. From the Pacific perspective to the Atlantic perspective. From liberal craziness to conservative idealism. From Christianity to atheism belief systems. Welcome to the TheGrayZone Roundtable with Rectify and Wingman at Revolution Radio. FreedomSlips.com.
What's up, all the good people out there on Revolution Radio? This is Rectify, and this is the TheGrayZone Roundtable. Terrible anniversary. It is March 11th, 2014, 3 years out from the Fukushima disaster. And I do live on the West Coast, and I do believe that I have, as well as a lot of other people, have been suffering from the ramifications of the nuclear fallout. Yet the media, the main lamestream media, has just brought it to our attention that it's only now coming to our shores at minute levels. But on that note, I'd like to welcome a few guests already. We have Mrs. Heather Holman, Agent H. What's up, girl?
Hi.
Mr. Steve Travesty.
Yo, I'm back.
And caller 559, what would you like to be called?
Oh, this is Tony.
Hey, Tony, right on. Welcome. But,
Thank you.
of all the other anomalies, I did see me and my wife experienced a drone, which I'll, be getting into later. We experienced that tonight. But yeah, my co-host, Wingman, is actually MIA. So everybody out there, say a prayer for Wingman. I have no idea where he is. Haven't talked to him.
He's in the UK.
Yeah, I mean, it's 6 in the morning there, or 7 in the morning, so.
Jeez.
He usually sets an alarm, takes a nice little, nap before and gets on the show, so I can understand if, things happen. Shiz happens, right?
Right?
But yeah, I wanted to give out the phone number. This is an open roundtable. We have 2 hours to kick back and talk about whatever's on your mind. World politics, weather, environmental issues, something that's good, maybe. 347-688-2902. That's 347-688-2902. Again, 347-688-2902. And you can you can Skype us on Freedom Screen. It's FreedomScreen, Freedom Screen, like a screen door. That's on Skype. But yeah, I just got in maybe about 20 minutes ago, so I do not have I don't have access to the station in my vehicle, so I'm not sure. I mean, Noreen has the roundtable before the Gray Zone. I know she always has a kick-ass roundtable, so I don't know what you guys were talking about. But Noreen, always, I'm sure you give me props. Props to you, girl. That's 12 to 2 on midnight on Mondays. That's Noreen's roundtable. Steve,
Yo.
What's going on, man? What was on the roundtable? What did I miss out on?
Well, I left the round table after a while. It was no longer a conversation I felt like being a part of. So.
Oh, what kind of conversation is that? That's striking to me.
The people were insisting on pursuing hearsay
history
9/11 in just a way that was just all consuming, and I was just like, I'm not going to sit here and be the guy who forces the conversation to go where it doesn't want to go, but I have no interest in it. So I decided to leave for the last half hour and, back on. Now it's different.
Get the door, Steve.
Okay.
Who is it?
I was muted. I'm sorry about that.
I'll get it. God. Hi, Ozzy. How are you? It's my friend Ozzy, Rectify.
Yeah, I don't know what just happened. My settings went to auto mute on the Windows side, so that
Don't play.
Yeah, welcome. How you doing, Ozzy?
He was having some issues with his. He's in New Zealand. And it seems like whenever people call from New Zealand, there's a problem. I don't know why.
There's something weird today. I'll tell you what. I don't know if it's the date 311, which, you know, I like that band, but it's also known as KKK because the 11th letter in the alphabet is the K, and it's 311s, right? Kind of like 322 is VVV. But
what is the thing with the monster? I was looking at that yesterday, and I don't see it.
The Monster Energy logo?
Yeah, what is that, like some hieroglyph or something?
No, it's Hebrew right there. That's 3 Vavs, is what they're called, V-A-V. And that's the Hebrew number 6. And it also represents O, U, and V.
O-U and what, G?
V is in Victor.
Oh, vavoom.
Yep. And then you have the 22nd letter, which is V, which is, you change it over to the Hebrew, it turns into 6. So that right there, the Monster Energy logo is 666.
And if you turn that upside down, it's and the Nazis un-Nazied the world.
Idiocracy right there, huh?
I guess.
So 9/11 was the topic, and what actually got you PO'd? What got under your fingernails there, Steve?
Everybody, you know, wanted to make, you know, the topic important of whether there was actually a plane or not that hit the building, and you know, and just because holographic projection technology exists, that logically means that they must have used it. And regardless of which, we're all avoiding the most important question. It's not how they pulled off 9/11, but why.
I think that Tony made a good thing when she brought up a point that I'd never realized about the alignment of the towers. Rectified, did you know about that in the Giza pyramids? God, I'll get it.
Hello.
Hi, it's free and awake, 808.
What's up?
Hey.
We're about to touch upon 9/11 pet peeves of Steve.
Right on.
It was the first time I ever heard him drop out of a roundtable.
Oh, it's out of character completely.
Well, was he frustrated or was it a technical thing?
I'm trying to dig it out, man. I'm trying to dig it out. How you doing tonight?
Pretty good, man. Actually, that's good. You're talking about 9/11 because I'm actually reading a book on that subject, Escape from Manhattan. So I'm going to read while I listen. Over.
Okay.
I predicted, Trav, I said you were a little bit hungry maybe, and that's why you're a little irritable. That was my prediction.
Oh. No, I was irritable because, honestly, it's a low-frequency conversation. Plain and simple. It's a low-frequency conversation. It's a fear that puts you in a loop. It puts you in a loop of things that you can't prove that even if you could, ultimately get you nowhere.
So let's hear about the drone then, Rectify.
Oh, okay. So we're going to a friend's house up in Tustin. So I'm traveling northbound on the 405 freeway here in Southern California. It's about maybe 9:45. On the left side of the other side of the freeway, the southbound side, there is probably about 6-7 cops, all lit up, flares everywhere. On the way back, we found out it was an accident blocking all lanes, which is kind of strange because there's like 5 or 6 lanes, right? So, but on the way, as we were going northbound, we noticed this red light in the air, right? And we're watching it, and it turns. It does like a remote control plane would. I mean, it couldn't have been that large because of the turning radius that it was achieving. But as it turned, it changed into white light. And then when it made another turn, it turned into a blue light. So it was definitely unidentified to me, but I'm skimming it to a drone. Because it was right over this accident scene.
Yeah, I think the laser satellites make that sort of pattern, that light, the different coloured lights, and that's the weather warfare satellites. But Steve, I think your point about the crashing through the tower is a good one, and I think if you're going to run any experiments on crashing planes and seeing if towers go through, you should include the explosives in the experiment to see if it is possible that your scenario is right.
Absolutely.
And on that point,
how about the nose out videos, guys? You guys seen those where the nose of the airplane comes through the other side of the building? How is that possible? Just type in
Photoshop.
YouTube, nose out 9/11. Or nose out WTC. It's like their animation screwed up.
It's a low-frequency conversation, but there are points.
Go ahead, Ozzy.
He's fading out, and then...
Oh, sorry, I finished the point. I'm just saying, for a low-frequency conversation, it's good to be on the topic, like of getting the points right, and not just glossing over them like some people do, and then going on to endless topics that just go round and round in circles. I mean, it's obvious to me when that happens, and I don't know, people don't want to acknowledge it, but I'd like to just put it on the record, that's all. And on that, let me just sit back on my chair and get myself a cup of tea. And let's hope Wingman comes along.
I'll have a cup of tea as well.
Saying, man, just like if somebody else wants to go have fun recreating 9/11 and trying to figure out the physics, more power to you. I am much more interested in why 9/11 happened, not how. That's the thing that, having everybody, like the only reason the how was important was only as evidence that it was an inside job. At this point, everybody believes 9/11 was an inside job. Just about everybody.
Hold on, Steve.
Top shills.
Just don't forget your grammar, logic, and rhetoric.
Yeah, and use tact.
Yeah, you got to look at the facts first. Then we move into the logic, and then the rhetoric.
Well, that's the point. People who come up with good logical points get attacked on ad hominem arguments over the way they deliver their message, not the message that's actually delivered. And I think that's pretty weak on the people who are attacking, because it's the message, not the messenger.
Right, and you shouldn't censor data from all quarters until you can kind of narrow this thing down. And some people are new to this. They need to come in at their point or stage of development or interest, So some people need a primer. They need to, kind of back to the basics.
We've been Jay from the good old Master Crown of the United States, Canada. What's up, SJ?
Well, I think one of the points that we need to think of is that, and I've listened to people say exactly the same kinds of things about 9/11 conversations since shortly after 9/11. A lot of leave it be, ignore it, it's past, it's not what's happening now, blah, blah, blah. But I'll tell you what I have always noticed. I've paid attention when the conversation comes up, when you have a chat board that's responding, because I watch to see what people on the chat board, how they react to what's being said. And that in itself is extremely illuminating in terms of studying North American, our listener culture. And I wanted to call in and say that because, while what's happening might be obvious and fairly boring, how people react to it is always interesting.
On the point that the guy said before, FJ, I've got a point for you. Can you tell me, if the goal is the top of Everest, what does it matter if the person climbs it or if the person goes there by helicopter? Isn't the end goal the goal?
Are you asking me?
No, I'm just saying, if people have different levels of understanding, what's wrong with taking it to the pinnacle of the understanding?
Well, shortcuts are never good. I mean, shortcuts are the lazy route. You always want to do things the right way, quote unquote, right? So you have them, your beer tastes better at the end of the day when you do it the right way.
But if you let it age, yeah, that's for sure.
Anyhow, love you all. It's a great show. Keep on. Keep it on.
All right, SJ.
Thanks, SJ.
So, Steve, what I still don't get exactly what really ticked you off. I wasn't listening once again, so I got to be caught up on it a little bit. Is it just the theories that are out there, or
tell me something? If you're trying to solve a mystery, right? If you're trying to solve a mystery, and you're being called on to prove the negative points, how long is it going to take you to solve the mystery?
forever.
Exactly. And that's what talking about things like, oh, it was a hologram is going to do. Because we don't have any evidence that there was a hologram. We don't have any evidence to say that it wasn't a hologram. But we don't have
It's a really ridiculous conversation.
We have video. Sometimes there's video footage where, yeah, the plane looks like it's screwed up, like visually, but then there's other pieces of footage which are the same darn footage, and it looks perfectly fine. And people are using, basically corrupt files or bad video editing software or something like that as evidence of something that isn't there. Just like the reptilian conspiracy
I was just going to say that.
Exacerbated because somebody's got bad digital transfer from their tape deck. Or
it's
whatever.
always a compression issue.
It's always a compression issue.
But,
like that.
Itself, though.
The dogma is still dogma. It doesn't matter which quarter it's coming from the alternative side or the mainstream side. So you really shouldn't preach you kind of like developing a certain dogma that says, well, we can only confine 9/11 discussions to these specific things.
I'm not confining it to certain specific things. But I also have a right to choose what kind of discussions I want to participate in. I didn't want to participate in a discussion like that because, honestly, I felt like it was fruitless, and it keeps us bogged down in the fears of, all the horrible, terrible things the government's capable of. When I think that it's going to talk about something as understood as 9/11 at this point, because it's been talked about ad nauseum by truth stations like ours, because most of us came to the truth when we started questioning 9/11, and that's been the inception of our path for many of us. And I honor, believe me, because it was for me as well. But at the same time, why 9/11 happened is 10 times more important than how 9/11.
It was to take over the Middle East.
Right, to take over the Middle East, to slave Americans, so that
on the States,
to take over the Middle East, amongst other forms of their control plans and other things, and we're discovering new agendas. I mean, take over the Middle East, a war for oil or whatever. I mean, that made sense before 9/11.
The
GMO seed was forced upon the Iraq people after the quote-unquote liberation was completed. So it was a testing ground for that. Also, I wanted to welcome 916. She's on, is on the phone. 916, what's your name? Tammy, I knew it was a female for some reason. There's my psychic access going off.
Well, yeah, you're right.
We're talking 9/11. Was it a hologram?
I'm over 9/11. I want to change the subject.
Yes, thank you.
Go ahead.
I want to go. Hey, can I ask a question? As a newcomer on this one?
You just did, but go ahead.
I'm doing it. Why are Levi's, you can't get 100% cotton made anymore? Why would I have to wear oil in my clothing? You can't get real clothes anymore. That's how much I want to change this subject.
It's because, why do our receipts when we buy things on that thermal paper, why do they have BPA in them? The same stuff they put in our tin cans that store our foods and in our plastic bottles that store our water. It's synthetic estrogen, and then we ask ourselves why we have so many metrosexual teenagers running around in tight jeans, speaking of jeans.
Oh my God, leave the kids alone.
No, it's a valid point though.
It's called World War III.
Where's John Wayne go? Where's John Wayne?
Right. This is soft kill weaponry. I mean, this is World War III we're talking about. We've been engaged in it since 9/11, I believe. So there's soft kill weaponry. They're doing it chemically. They're doing it with electromagnetic frequency. They're doing it with our foods. And like you say right there, like our clothes, the receipts, for God's sake.
It seems like the more you look at it, Rectified, the more you can trace it right back through history. It's been going on at all times, really. But there are starts and finishes to campaigns in the overall war. There's battles being waged, but there is a war that's been going on all along.
Right. I mean, people like to think of war as what Hollywood projects is, just gunfire and bombs and all that stuff. But it actually starts psychologically, like, the big fat guy Jones out there says, it's a war for our minds. What was that?
I can't say. And that Alex Jones just gets fatter and fatter every time I see him. I can't trust a person like this.
You need to get more iodine in you.
Oh, guys, we can't be that harsh. We all know we learned something from him.
Oh my God.
It's good. Just don't concentrate on one. It's good to have a balance of all minerals. But on a different thing, Cooper was, into all topics that he researched, but at the end he started going away from the alien stuff and just started sticking on the government stuff and the mystery schools more than anything else. So, people can get led off on tangents on their way to the summit of Everest. They might end up on the other side, but not getting the top at all.
Well, it's just like sex sells, so does anger. So they end up, like, forming into the anti-government section of media because it's the easiest to foment anger and you get the best ratings. That's my opinion, though. And here over at Revolution Radio, not one of us gets paid a dime. We're all volunteers. And visit us, freedomslips.com. We have an awesome chat room there. Get involved. But we need your donations to keep breathing as a station. That's the only way. We're 100% listener-supported radio. No corporate ties. So, yeah, head over to freedomslips.com, or if it's easier for you to remember, revolution-radio.com. There's a site support button. Drop us a couple shingles, whatever you want to call them, bitcoins, dollars, Federal Reserve notes, greenbacks, swipe your card, whatever. Kick us back a couple bucks. And we appreciate it.
People from olden times.
So free and awake, man. I've talked to you a couple times before. I
I'm here.
Used to be around a while back, and you kind of disappeared for a while from the station.
Well, I had some phone service issues. I lost service for about 2 months or so, but obviously back on now. But yeah, so right, that's why you didn't hear from me. Yeah.
So jeans are not made of cotton anymore. So I'm assuming they're made out of some sort of polyfiber.
My God, have you gone and tried to buy a new pair of pants? My stepdad, he's like a Levi guy. So I take him to the store on his birthday, and he's like, Tammy, these aren't, look at them, fill them. I'm like, yeah, you're right. The only thing that's made out of 100% cotton anymore are Dickies.
Yeah, I have a couple of pair of those. I love the Dickies. Yeah.
So, and Dickies are like about $80 now.
You get them at the thrift. Go to the thrift store. You can get them.
Well, you take a guy out on his birthday, and your dad. You don't want to take him to the thrift store.
Well, yeah, but I mean, for every day, you can just cruise on in there and pick up a. You won't spend $80 in a thrift store. Trust me.
Well, the sad thing is they keep making them like that. Pretty soon, the only thing you're going to get at a thrift store is what you're getting off the rack now. So you're not going to get cotton anymore. So your jeans are going to be polyester for you guys out there.
Maybe that's why people in Japan have been stockpiling Levi's, because the guy that is a sushi chef at the restaurant that we go to, he says that he knows a guy, because his mom used to own sweatshops. He said that he knows a guy in Japan that would go to Clovis, right by Fresno, California, and that he would go to these warehouses where they were just collecting Levi's jeans. And the guy sold them to him. He made like $6 million off his warehouse of antique Levi's, and they took them over to in China and everything. They sell them. I guess they sell them for super expensive. The antique American jeans. Maybe that's why, because they're not going to make them out of cotton anymore.
If we had hemp jeans, we would only have to buy like 2 pairs or 7 pairs, one for each day of the week for the rest of our lives, unless we got fat or something.
Yeah, you would get like jeans on your birthday, like when you're 12, 17, 18, whatever, and then you only have like 5 pairs of pants your whole life.
The whole thing Isn't the whole thing though, like denim is its own thing, so you can't really make like jeans out of hemp because jeans have to be made out of denim.
Right, that's the whole thing, right? They're like tied together. It's like a copyright or the R, whatever the R is.
No, it's not even that. It's not that. I'm just saying it's the material that it's made out of is inherently making.
They go hand in hand. The registered trademark is what I was trying to spit out. It's like
Guys, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to shut up after this. But have you been into a department store lately? When you go and fill your Levi's, they are not Levi's, and everything's made in China now. My stepdad won't even wear Nikes anymore because they're not made in Oregon anymore. They're made in China.
Well, I'm down for the American brands. That's for sure. I still do those old school Dickies.
Yeah. Well,
stick with it.
This could start a whole new industry. People can buy and sell, online their old school Levi's or, 100% cotton.
They're already doing it.
Yeah. So, let them do what they want.
Let's see what Washington and Colorado State does with the, legalized marijuana. I mean, a lot of them are going to go into the stoner industry, but a lot of them are also going to go into medical, and a lot of them are going to go into, hopefully, some fabric creation.
Well, they need to pass this. Unfortunately, they need to pass a whole separate law as the way our society is right now to do hemp because, like cannabis for smoking purposes, that's even a large operation can be contained in a small sense, or it can be run out of like several square foot in somebody's basement or greenhouse or whatever. For hemp, you need to have a whole farm. You need farmland. You just need farmland. But it's the same thing for cotton.
You need Nighthawk.
Farmer's going to have the same trouble with hemp as he is for cotton because of the politics. This is happening for political reasons.
I don't know. I think there's something
This has everything to do with Monsanto, I guarantee.
That's just me, man. Yeah, I mean, I think there might be something GMO tied with the weed. There might also be some maybe nano something tied with the weed. I don't know. Maybe it's to absorb radiation because we all know it's the best plant to do so. That's what they did around Chernobyl is planted acres upon acres of hemp seed to help restore the soil.
What makes you? Is it a feeling or is it something that
Well, the changes I've been going through, it's like, do I blame radiation? Do I blame my own health? Just because of my own ways that I've not been taking care of myself as I should. I just look at different symptoms I'm experiencing, and
By the way, did you try that oil of oregano? You were having some issues a while back.
I did. I dropped the pill. I can't do the liquid, but I can do the pills because it's just horrid, the taste.
And it did help you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been fine. I haven't had any problems as far as the gut goes, but
yeah.
And you need to get some silver water. You can get it from the vitamin shop, too. Get some silver water because
I got colloidal silver.
It's like iodine in your body.
Right. I'm finding that the Chinese herbal medicine is really the best route to go for a lot of situations.
Oh, yeah.
I spend a lot of time in the Chinese herbal section, man. I'm telling you. I mean,
We have actually an awesome doctor that's based just on Chinese medicine. It's Dr. Robin Falkov. And she does a show on Studio B on Wednesday afternoons, and she's on in the mornings on Studio A. But yeah, go check the schedule for that. But yeah, it's Robin.
She's awesome.
Robin Falkov. She is awesome. And you might think she's Asian herself, but she's not. She's a redheaded, light-skinned, intelligent woman that knows her Chinese medicine.
That's right. Amen to that. Yeah.
So yeah, let's take Red Shifty's up. Go ahead, Ozzy.
I think the Chinese had a good knowledge of how the endocrine system, the glands and the chakras all work together, and the nutrient balance, how important that was. That's why they did things like grind up different parts of animals just to get the minerals that were, that they needed.
And they still have a crazy diet. You watch that show, what is it, Crazy Foods or something like that with Robert Zimmerman, whatever it's called. I don't watch TV too often, but my wife.
diners and dives guy, or?
No. It's a similar type of dude, but he goes around and he goes to Asian areas and stuff, and he eats things like from scorpions to ants to grasshoppers.
That's a world traveler, and he has
bizarre foods. That's what it is.
Yeah. I'm gonna try some worms, and you know.
Hey, that could be healing different parts of your body, though.
Right.
As crazy as it seems, just because we've been brainwashed to think that's dirty and, yucky, and you're supposed to squash those and not eat them.
Well,
they're not only not wasteful.
They're insects, for our protein source. Who knows how things might turn out. So insects are abundant.
I mean, here in the United States, I've seen plenty of documentaries with doctors that have gotten out of the business because they finally realized that what they're prescribing is killing their patients. It's keeping them alive long enough to milk them dry and keeping them as much out of pain as possible without ever treating the problem.
Right.
And that has to do with everything from the medicine to the food to our air now with the chemtrails, everything. Everything is backwards. If you want to know the truth in this country, you got to flip side what supposed authority tells you. And that's the truth. Exact opposite of what they tell you. They say run, you should chill. They say chill, you should run.
That's what Tony Robbins says. 80% of the world is doing the wrong thing. Just do whatever they're not doing.
Absolutely. I mean, it's
so eat your grasshoppers, ladies and germs.
Right.
They make the joke about that in the 2012 movie, like just before the big earthquake that starts the chain of events happens. John Cusack's talking to his wife, and it's just like, the governor just said this. Look, he's an actor, all right? When the government tells you not to do anything, that's when you run.
Right. It's like Bush after 9/11. I mean, since we were on the 9/11 tip a bit ago, he's like, go out and spend money.
Yeah, go shopping.
Economy going.
Don't worry about arresting anyone. No.
We lost like $3 trillion the day before, so let's spend money.
Yeah, and spend more money on NORAD too, which did absolutely nothing for you. But keep the tax money coming,
Oh yeah, but you see, that's the whole point. They tell you that NORAD did nothing.
Well, nothing for our benefit. Let's put it that way.
But it doesn't. Yeah, exactly. So now, hey, listen, we're going to pass this law so NORAD can do more for your benefit.
Yeah.
Oh?
They actually changed the intercept or engagement orders, like just prior to, maybe the morning of, or very close to 9/11. And then after 9/11, they changed it back to the original, configuration where they could basically launch whenever they, perceived a threat.
Right.
But,
Flight 93 happened because somebody was smart enough to say no and actually took off and took care of the threat.
Right.
And granted, Flight 93 was like, well, in reality, I mean, looking at the crash site of Flight 93, that wasn't a plane either. So, because Flight 93 was a scar in the ground with no plane debris. So that was like...
I thought you rejected the no plane doctrine. I mean, so I just want to be clear.
I reject the no plane doctrine for Trade Center 1 and 2.
Okay.
Flight 93.
Talk about 9/11.
The Pennsylvania was not a plane, and the Pentagon was not a plane.
My dad did really extensive.
Hey, I have a question. Do you think Dick Cheney feels guilty about the heart in his chest?
I think it doesn't have
he got a young Marine's heart. They just capped somebody in the head, so that's going right to Dick Cheney.
Oh, I heard that was Steve Martin's heart.
Dick Cheney has a heart?
I didn't even think he was human.
When did that happen?
He got a heart transplant, and I'm wondering, do you think he ever feels guilty about that young Marine he killed to get that heart?
I found out something crazy that blew my mind. I don't know. You guys, any of you sports fans? Because I'm not. I mean, I used to be when I played sports back in high school, but I think all of that collective brutality is a bunch of gladiators in the arena, slaughtering Christians, sideshacks.
Well, it's controlled brutality.
Right. Well, here's what I learned from actually Sean David Morton.
It's an effigy now, is what it is.
Yeah, you and Sean David Morton actually taught me something. I was listening to one of your guys' shows, and I didn't know this, but all of our major sports leagues, the NFL, NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball, they're all 501c3 tax-free nonprofit organizations, which means you, the taxpayer, pays for them. You not only pay for the stadiums to be built, but you help subsidize the $10 beers that people are buying.
You're paying for Caesar's Circus.
All the stadiums are energy. They're part of the Toros field. That's why they have the tuning forks, the goalposts, and all the baseball diamonds have the mounds, the Egyptian mounds. That's why we have all the sports in America. It's the last place that has all the portals, like Alex Collier talks about. There was 17, 15 of them got snapped off during the pole shift. There's only 2 left, and they're on the North American continent. So that's what that's about. That whole Earth grid system is running through the ballparks and the football stadiums. And
if you can get a little closer to your mic, that'd be awesome. I want to hear about ley lines, whatever knowledge you have.
You're probably exactly right about that. Thank you for sharing that insight.
Yeah. Esoteric agenda. Yeah.
Tuning forks.
Yeah,
Think about that one.
There's even one of the Jesuit priests came out a while back and spoke out against it. And I don't know what exactly, whenever they release a little bit of truth, they always put it in a lie so that nobody can ever find the truth in it. But, because part of what he was talking about was shape-shifting reptilians, but he also talked about the Colosseum event being in the United States and gaining energy, using energy through these Colosseum events. And we just figured out through researching all this different stuff with the onks and the tuning fork that the goalposts are most definitely going down into those Earth systems, and that's why you have places called domes, the nature domes, the super dome, and all these different things, going back to the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl blackout. And it clearly says 7-Eleven.
That's why churches have domes, too, and they're on ley lines, too. And a lot of times they'll put on the top of these domes gold coating or a pole.
And something, there's actually, I forget what YouTube video I saw, and it was part of this, I don't know, it was like one of those big YouTube files that was like a couple hours long, and it was making this reference point between some secret tech which involved these half sphere kind of energy focal points for like lasers or whatnot, and domes, exactly like what we're talking about.
Okay. I live in one of these dome cities. I am not kidding. I'm not kidding. And it's in Zechariah Stitchin's book. I linked it back to being in Stitchin's book because we're surrounded by, next to Goshen and Exeter. And it's like a Jacob's Ladder site. And they just built it in 2011. That is when they built it. And it's right after Jeff Keane died, they built it. And when I inherited all his research, one of the things I got in his research was the William Henry Surfing the Tides of the Milky Way Stargate Reliving Our Re-Evolution. And that is how I was able to put everything together. But first I found the site, and I did a video on YouTube, and I think it's called Visalia Stargate Ascension Site or anything, but it's one of the latest videos I just did for my second one. And Energy of Life, it's the pillars, the ark, the electrical equipment to carry the ark. It's not just a monument that's been dedicated to something. It's something that they use. And they know that I know that I'm onto them. And they've actually left some comments on I don't know what she was doing. This lady was leaving a comment for somebody else, but somehow it got left on my channel. So I actually saw what she was saying about me that meant to go to somebody else, and that happens to me all the time. I was like, oh my gosh. But it has to do with the golf courses and the churches in town, like what you're saying. And it's pretty sinister what they're doing right now. But it's one of these dome devices. And if you look up sacrifice tables in the post office, that's part of it. And that whole system is set up like the Key of Osiris. So that's part of it over there. And actually, there's a show called Under the Dome. Have you seen this show?
Yeah, Under the Dome.
Okay, Under the Dome is about a town that's 3 hours from Los Angeles, and it has the richest soil in the world. So when the tourists are passing through, going to the rehab place, they grab a tourist brochure and they read about the town that they're in. The town that has the richest soil in the world is where I live. They have like contests, really, truly, where they're like, compete with the soil at the Ag Expo. And we have like the World Ag Expo is here. And so
Are they
basically I took a picture
where you live, like they're doing to a lot of North American farmers, Northern Californian farmers?
I haven't heard it. We haven't felt anything like that.
All right.
I think our water is pretty nasty right now because the level is pretty low. But like I said, with some of the nits from those weird skin parasites being in the water and stuff like that. But other than that, I haven't felt anything with the produce. Produce isn't any more expensive than it normally is. But it's not as good. It doesn't seem
You got to
good.
know, though, I mean, it could be coming from South America for all you know. I mean, they just might have went NAFTA route and started importing, you know. See,
Most of the produce here says Mexico on it, or
there you
Guatemala. Yeah, most of the stuff.
You're outside of Los
We go to the swap meet and get it from Mexico.
You're outside of Los
Well,
Angeles.
it comes from Chile.
go. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, does it, Steve? We're like the biggest agriculture producer here in California for, like, the States.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just
The thing
But you can still go to the roadside stand. We just happen to go to the grocery store, but you can still go to the roadside.
We got a lot of Mexicans here, so it's supply and demand. The Mexicans want food that's familiar to them, so, you know, there's a lot of stuff coming in from Mexico.
We still have, here we still have boxes, like fruit stands on the side of the road with boxes, and you can take your fruit and you drop your money in the box, and it's on the honor system, and that's just on the side of the road on the one of the main roads out in the country. We still have places like that around here.
Visalia?
Yeah, Visalia, California.
Yeah. They used to have, remember they used to have those orange Julia stands, all
But
those
you
little
still
orange
see, like,
things.
fields and fields of, farming going on, right? And people picking crops and all that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We have a lot of produce here. I mean, I'm not talking about the store, what pretty much like everybody has access to, but I mean, there's road stands everywhere.
Yeah, I wonder where the export's going, though. I mean, if you're not seeing your own local stuff, that's
I always wonder.
right.
Well, this valley right here supplies, I think it's like just this valley alone is called the bread basket, the fruit basket of the world, and it supplies like 80% of the produce when you include nuts and everything. I mean, even Asia gets their beef from Harris Ranch, which is here.
So your area wasn't affected by the drought?
You know, our river's pretty low, but I mean, we're not done. The rainy season's not done. It usually rains like through April here. We get our biggest, rains in April and stuff. So, we've had worse times. And in the early 90s, we had a really bad drought. That was pretty bad. I even did a radio commercial about it. Like when I was a little girl, I was like, on the radio doing a commercial. It was pretty bad, I remember then. But I don't know, our lake still has water in it, and we just had a huge torrential flood that flooded everything. So I think it's okay. I don't know. I haven't had any problems, and it didn't freeze really bad this year. It only froze a couple of times. There's been times where
I think our summer's going to be brutal this year, actually.
Well, yeah, it always is. I mean, it got to 117 in Three Rivers. That's like 20 minutes from where I live in 2007, and that is
the perception
hot.
of the equinoxes, right? The natural wobble of the earth. That's why we have seasons. Australia, their summer during our winter, we had a harsh winter, right? Up here in the northern hemisphere. Australia in the southern hemisphere, they had the harshest summer in forever. They broke records.
Can we really predict our weather anymore, though? I mean, really,
no,
are we really able
I watch them always screw up. They can't get it right anymore.
Yeah,
meteorologists are like pointless.
Supposed to screw up. Look, I was looking at a link, man. Old Farmer's Almanac actually predicted this weather cycle that we were dealing with now.
That is what my friend said. If you want to know what the weather is going to be like, you go to the Farmer's Almanac.
Exactly. Because they're working off of tried and true natural scientific methods of some sort. Like, I don't know how it works. It's not my field.
So a smart weather person would go consult the almanac and then make the report from there.
All right.
But we're also living in a land of technology now where they manipulate our weather, so.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Can we really predict the weather?
They manipulate our weather, and yet we're still having weather patterns that were predicted in the Old Farmer's Almanac 100, 200 years ago or whatever. So think about that. If they're manipulating weather that much, then why is the almanac still accurate?
Or how long have they been manipulating it?
Good question right there.
Well, I don't think
we do have pyramids and we keep finding them. Heather, you're back. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
I like the picture of your nails there. It looks
They're
like
snake
a lot of
skin.
time to paint those.
They're snake skin. I like them.
You do that yourself?
Yeah, I did it last night, actually, while I was listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
Right on. You should make money doing that. That's a pretty good talent.
Promoting?
Well, just doing other people's nails. I mean, that's
no.
anything like that.
You just buy these at the store. They're vinyl.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
She cheated.
We got another caller, 856. Welcome to the call. And what's your name?
Hi, my name's Jared. Yeah,
hey, Jared. What's on your mind, man?
I just heard somebody that worked at the Old Farmer's Almanac, and it's not actually like a 100-year-old book or whatever. It's like they go by each year they put out a new one, and they go by like the sun cycles. He said they base most of their prediction for the year off the sun, and that's why they're so accurate. But yeah, I just wanted to add that. It's not like
So you're saying the almanacs aren't that accurate?
No, I'm saying it's accurate, but they yearly they put out. It's called the Old Farmer's Almanac, but they put out a new one every year.
Right.
And they base it off of their predictions off of the sun, which is why it's so accurate, because that's what affects our weather the most.
So the sun cycle, of course, has a lot to do with our weather.
Yeah.
Yes, there's Sun Cycle, Maurice Cotterell.
What are we in, sun cycle 24 now, and it was late? I think it's supposed to be every 11 years, and this one took like 13 or 14 years?
Yeah, we're still at like a super minimum as last I heard.
I think it flipped like a month and a half, 2 months ago, finally. They took this pole shift. I'm not sure. I'll have to get back on that. You know, there's dimensions all mixing together, so I never know if it's a dream or if it was reality anymore. No, it's like when you find someone, you know, you read about someone in the paper or something, you see an article that some star, Hollywood star died or some singer died, and you're like, I swear that person died like 5 years ago. Happens to me all the time.
Like the Nelson Mandela thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the old leader of Israel.
Right. Yeah.
He died like a couple times, I think.
Well, he was in a coma. I don't remember him dying, but Nelson Mandela, I was pretty sure, and I really do think we did switch timelines. I guess when we were talking about that before, someone was saying like the collider. I think I can't imagine it being like, well, they're trying to find like smaller and smaller particles, but Nassim Harriman, you know, if you understand the fundamental pattern that everything goes off, it's like as above, so below, infinity, like both ways for us, and we're just stuck in the middle.
So you think CERN, the Large Hadron Collider over in France, might have screwed up our time-space continuum? I'm not
sure if that's what it's doing, but I can't see them spending that much money to try to find smaller and smaller particles if they understand, you know, higher technology. Well, you know, I don't think that's like the main reason to try to find smaller particles. There has to be something else.
Hey, you guys, wait, real quick. I think Disneyland is a like miniature Hadron Collider. That's all I was gonna say.
Why would you say that?
Because of the monorail system. That thing will eat people that even come within like a certain range of it.
Eat them?
Okay.
Yeah. You can't, like, there's this track, and it goes around.
Well, yeah, it's concrete, though, basically.
But it's like the biggest magnet. I mean, I remember the first time I stepped across it, and I wouldn't even step across it. I made my dad pick me up, because it was gnarly.
Well, I was gonna say, like, you know, like, one of the things about the Hadron Collider and CERN is that, they've got this statue of Shiva outside of the main entrance to
Shiva the Destroyer.
Shiva the Destroyer and Creator.
Right.
So
that shows their intent.
It shows their intent, And the thing is like the fire wheel that she's dancing in, or he, I forget.
I think it's androgynous.
Androgynous, sure, is similar to the design if you were to cut the cross section open of the Hadron Collider and look at the wiring and the tubing inside the collider itself. In other words, it's a Stargate.
No way.
Exactly.
God particle stargates and creating different anomalies in time and space. This is the Gray Zone. We'll be right back. About 5 minutes.
Listening to Revolution.
Welcome to the TheGrayZone Roundtable, Revolution Radio at freedomsource.com. 100% listener-supported radio. No corporate ties, corporate duct tape dictating our freedom of speech. It shall remain that way as long as we are supported by you. Join us, 347-688-902. Enter the Gray Zone.
And welcome back. This is Rectified. Sorry about the dead air. Happens even to us supposed professionals. Technical difficulties. Good news, though. We have Wingman with us. What's up, Wingman?
Yeah. Actually, the technical delay was good for me. Because my snooze button didn't work. Malfunction on the snooze button. Malfunction on the snooze button.
It happened on the station, too. So, hey, hand in hand. Do you want to give out our station ID for us, brother?
Yeah, you're listening to Revolution Radio. And I've just woken up, so my head's just engaging. We're listener supported, which means we need some of your money, which means you need to sell the antiques and sell the family jewels and send us your money. And we also have some good stuff on our website. If you click on support, there's a shop there, and there's some good seeds, and I think there's some other bits and bobs. And I actually think seeds are a good thing to have because you can use them for exchange in times of warfare and famine and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, get seeds, you can barter with them. Anything else I missed there? I think that's pretty much covered it, isn't it?
That's pretty much it. Basically, we can't do this without your help out there, and we've been going now for going on 3.5 years about. So thank you all the listeners out there. We've grown hugely since I've been around, almost since day one. But I've been watching this place grow, and it's huge. And I've watched other stations, other freedom networks around the world drop like flies since we've been growing. Like a pimple. So, yeah. Don't squeeze us. Just help us. Justin Time has joined the call. What's up, sir?
Pardon me. I'm sorry about that. I'm making note of that right now. Didn't I do that on your show last week? One break played and then another one started again?
No, that was my fault right there. That was nothing to do with you, man.
I don't know. Okay, well, I'm trying to get some of this straightened up with Night Hawk. All right.
Yeah, we're good. That was totally it was an end user mistake. It was a PEBCAC error. Just between chair and keyboard.
Okay.
Right on. We've also been joined by Miss Casey. How you doing, Casey? Redshifty?
Wow, I made it.
You made it. Welcome to the great.
Right on.
Lord have mercy. I had some sort of internet massive failure.
Yeah, we had some problems.
Well, internet.
I go too. So Microshaft, and it's funny because it's happening right at the time where they say no more support for Windows XP, and that's what I use, Windows XP, and I'm never
good. No more updates you don't get anyway.
I don't use updates. I haven't used automatic updates since 2002.
That's all support is.
That's all it is. That's all you're going to lose, people. So don't get scared. I mean, I'm watching businesses all around me change all their hardware and go to Windows 8. It's costing them thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars because of fear mongering of the.
And it's ugly.
Of XP.
Am I the only one that gets paranoid when your internet goes down? I always think the worst. I always think, oh my gosh, the nukes somewhere and the internet's down. I check the headlines. That's the first thing I do.
It's not the internet here. I mean, it's just a series of devices. I mean, it seemed like no matter whether it was the tablet, the desktop, the laptop, everything I tried had some sort of different issue. I turned off the wireless, used the hard line, reset the router, finally just reset everything all at once, and that did it.
You know, I'm funny with tech. I got a laptop, I've got one of these smart TVs, right? But I'll spend like the best part of an hour setting up what they call a DNLA server, so I don't have to have a wire going 2 meters. I'll spend 2 hours on my computer trying to sort it out, rather than just plug an HDMI cable from the TV to my laptop. But I'm kind of strange like that. But I've got it working.
It's new. It's something new to fiddle with.
They're not that smart, those smart TVs anyway. They're not very great.
So yeah, Wingman, we also got a caller 559 Tony is with us on the line, and also Free and Awake, and our boss Mr. Travesty is with us as well. But yeah, an hour late. I think it has something to do with the time shift. I have to put it on that, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's
daylight savings time.
We'll both take that, Wingman.
Yeah, no,
I was the snooze button. It's stuck.
It didn't work. I pressed the snooze, it didn't work. It didn't come on. But I was a minute extra late because I had to have my cup of tea. I had to pour a cup of tea because I can't work.
Milk in your tea?
Yeah, but that's the first thing I have. The first thing I do, very first thing I do, cup of tea and a cigarette. It's just like, and then, you know, that's like engage, you know.
I spilled a cup of tea and a cup of Sunny D on the floor in the attempt to get the computer working. So,
Derp.
Yeah, it sucks. I don't have anything to drink.
So before the break, though, we were talking about CERN, you know, the Large Hadron Collider over there. Yeah, France and Switzerland. And its purpose, you know, like trying to find the God particle. And a lot of...
That's just what they put out there to, you know, get people to be excited about it. Who knows what on earth they're doing in there?
Well, like, here's my example, though. We were talking about a time-space continuum shift that might have been created by this machine, right? Because do you ever see celebrities in a paper, you know, in the news that have died, and you're like, I swear that person died years ago already. You know, they died again. Does that ever happen to you?
I'm sorry, I derped out. Does what happen to me?
I was like when you read about a death of a celebrity, or you know.
I don't.
Swear that's happened already.
The celebrities, they die, like everyone else.
Like the 20.
I've heard some people say that about Nelson Mandela. That's quite a popular one. People say that about.
That's what we were talking.
He's 1 million years old. I thought he was already dead.
That's what we're saying. The time shift, you know, the time space continuum was shifted.
No,
I love that line.
Mandela was really old.
Can we just talk about stuff that involves saying the time-space continuum, because it sounds
Go for
really
it, Wingman.
clever.
Spatio-temporal.
Anyways.
So you see, what we have is the time-space continuum, and if you try and disturb it, then the flux capacitor will. No, I don't know. I'm only kidding.
Spatio-temporal.
Well, I was saying during the break that every time they turned on CERN, the theory is that it actually destroyed all of reality and then reboot itself. And
Even though we got no sensation of losing anything, everything just continued smoothly for us.
Well,
But yet
exactly.
time ended.
At the moment that we rebooted, we still had all of our retained. We still all had retained memories of things that only happened as memories.
So we're all just code in a computer program.
Right.
And if I hit this button, you will be disconnected.
It's a false.
Yes.
For all I know, it's like that movie Dark City. Every time they turn on the CERN thing, everything rebooted, and then all the bald freakazoids came out. And yesterday I was King of France, and now today I'm this
time out
radio.
Well, wouldn't they misfunction too? The people that are operating CERN. So how did they restore? Did I miss something?
Some sort of Faraday cage for CERN.
I mean, they destroy the entire universe except for them and their little CERN bubble.
Well, they everything, themselves included.
Well, how did we get back on track? I missed
Was
something.
it just like a flicker?
Who reset the button? Who hit the button?
They would refuse to believe that they were playing with that much power, and the only reason why they didn't perceive of the effect is because they had no way of measuring from outside of the effect, because all points of view were inside.
There's no the observer when you're part of the experiment.
Yes.
Yeah, but the argument, collapses, right? Because there's no one. If that really happened,
then it's
there would be
irrelevant.
no one to press the button.
Well, sure, the argument collapses. That still doesn't mean it didn't happen.
But
They
who
can
pressed
say
the
that
button?
about an infinite number of things.
Who pressed the button is what I'm asking.
Where does the circuit? I mean, I don't understand
Well,
the button.
my memory would tell me that this particular scientist pushed the button. I have no idea if that's true, but that's the memory.
Yeah.
Where are you getting
What
this from?
date?
Was
What
pressed.
date?
Sorry.
What date is this supposed to happen? The date?
Well, check this out. I mean, a lot of articles out there have mentioned that CERN actually achieved moving a particle faster than the speed of light, which would tell us that we could do time travel.
So did David Sarita. Big deal. David Sarita's the guy you should talk to. Man, he is a genius. He talked about how they manipulate, like aliens communicate by multiplying the speed of light, basically. Like tachyons, twice the speed of light.
What they do is they don't go faster than light. They just increase the speed of light.
They literally do. They change. Yeah, they do. And the frequencies increased, and they're able to communicate somehow that way. David Sarita is the guy. He's the expert, not me. But man, you should hear him talk about it.
See, when we talk about the speed of light, though, I mean, are we talking about the entire wave or just the visible light spectrum? Because I think, as the...
If it's a wave and it travels through space, it has to have a medium through which to travel.
Right. Through
So
space.
I don't think light really goes anywhere. It's just a signal. Otherwise, I mean, what's the medium?
Well, I don't believe space is a complete vacuum myself.
Of course it's not.
Well, look, we were talking about Nassim Harriman earlier.
Right.
Don't watch
Fun to listen to.
documentary, The Black Hole. That will kind of tell you everything you need to know.
He talks about like the Russian doll universe theory, right? Where there's a universe within a universe within a universe.
Yeah, the classical
infinitely
geometry.
small, right, and infinitely large, right? That's the same. Nassim.
Sounds.
Yeah, that's
what
the
I
same.
think of it.
The macrocosm and the microcosm, which is another way of saying as above, so below.
Mm-hmm.
For everything that has a positive energy flow on one side of the polarity has the equal and opposite negative energy flow on the other side of the polarity, which also goes into the theory of stars, and for every star in this universe, there is a black hole in a corresponding universe on the other side.
You're starting to remind me of, what's his name? Oh gosh, it'll come to me. The duality. Robert Peppino. That was kind of his thing.
Robert Peppino?
Yeah,
duality. How does a star the opposite of a black hole?
Robert Peppino doesn't have the corner on duality. He's not that.
How is a star the inverse of a black hole? I don't get it.
Because the opposites have to be present, right, Steve?
Well, that's a white hole.
Break it down for us, Steve.
Hold on, my mouth.
Break it down.
I've been snacking on sweet potato tortilla chips.
Sweet potato tortilla chips. Wow.
Yeah, they're
amazing the things you'll find at Whole Foods.
Huh.
Or in the South.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what am I breaking down here?
How the opposite of a black hole is a star? How?
It should be a white hole, she's saying, not a star. But I don't know. Isn't a white hole?
What's a white hole?
One produces light and the other sucks it in.
Right.
Well.
So she's saying the analogy is off.
Because a star there's a lot more involved than just the light. I mean, that would be like reducing, their entire
I'm oversimplifying
one property of their existence.
Look, I'm oversimplifying it. Yes.
That's exactly what I was saying. Okay.
Right. But you gotta remember this. We have all sorts of interesting footage, so I'm going a little bit into the weird for you here, of all these phenomenons that are going in and out of our sun. Massive things that look like massive planets.
I've seen those, or the big rods.
Type of sphere type shift look at things. We're watching all this traffic going in and coming out. Now, I don't think that anything's living in the sun. I don't think that there's anything in the sun, but I think that we perhaps don't know what our sun really is. And at the end of the day,
I agree.
I thought North Korea had a successful mission to the sun a couple months ago.
Yes, of course they did. And Kim Jong.
Yeah, they got 100% vote for Kim Jong-il today, too.
There's a show called Destiny, or I think it's from, I think Starflyer or Starfire, whatever that show was, and Dragonfly. And I think they got on the ship. They got on the ship, yeah, and it went on like an autopilot, and it was going into the sun. They thought it was going to self-destruct. They were all, thought they were going to die, and then when it got to the sun, it just stopped, and the whole ship charged up, and their oxygen levels went back up, and everything. It was basically charging their entire system.
If the sun was what we were told by the industrial indoctrination system we call the education system, wouldn't you think we'd be taking all of our spent uranium and sending it up in rockets straight at that bad boy reactor, to get rid of it?
Dude, Superman 4 was a horrible movie.
That was a cool net, though.
I just find it interesting that space itself is geared.
Go for it, Wingman.
Yeah, I find it interesting that space is geared towards the creation of planets and light. I always find that quite fascinating.
Elaborate a little bit, Wingman.
Well, when you're looking at, the interaction of atoms, generally speaking, they gravitate together, and when they gravitate together, they create stars, which creates light, or alternatively planets.
So, like Steve says, micro and macro.
It's like a spark gap.
Well, I mean,
it's like a spark and planet creation
and negatively
system.
Charged at different ends, so some of them repel and some of them attract. They don't all repel or all attract.
Really?
That's how your nervous system works. You got potassium and salt. Potassium is positive, salt's negative, and that's how the signals run up and down your nerve
system. Yeah.
Right on. Electricity.
Yep.
Yes.
No doubt.
You got to have an electrolyte, otherwise you'll die too. You can overdose on water. The kind of water that is distilled, that doesn't have an electrolyte anymore in it. It doesn't have any mineral content at all. Mm-hmm. If you drank gallons and gallons of distilled water straight, you would die. Your neurological system.
Gallons and gallons of anything.
Wouldn't you pee it out first, though? I mean,
no. This happened actually on a radio. It was a radio show I was listening to. It happened live. They were doing a contest.
Some guy died on air?
Contest.
Yeah, I saw that.
A woman died on the air from overdosed on water.
I think it was a radio show, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I did.
Interesting bit is there's this show. It was on. I think it was on Sci-Fi Channel, and then they moved it to like H2 History Channel, and it was Stan Lee's Superhumans, and this is Stan Lee, creator of the Avengers and the X-Men and all that stuff. He produced this TV show about people that have real superpowers, all sorts of interesting, kind of like innate abilities. Like the guy he chose to host the show, he's a contortionist, and he's like
special people.
He's quadruple jointed in like every joint in his bone structure, and he can fit himself into like a box that's about 2 feet by 2 feet.
Mutants, man. They were getting us ready for what was to come, like Fukushima, which is today's the anniversary of.
Well, look.
Really?
That's one.
March 11th. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I noticed it was 3/11.
Oh, wow. All right. Let me finish my damn thing. Stop bringing it into the fear.
Don't ever finish.
I'm trying to.
It's Grouchy Gus.
I'm trying to make everybody feel awesome about themselves by talking about superheroes among us, and you're like, oh man, it's all Fukushima.
We're all gonna mutate into contortionists.
Okay, fine. So we're gonna mutate into contortionists. Stop bitching about it. Anyway, there was this one guy on this one episode who was called the human fire extinguisher because he did not have an immunity to this water problem. But what he did have was this ability to retain more water in his stomach at in one sitting than a normal human being could, and he could and he had a special gag reflex where he could spit it out.
Was he black? I think I saw that guy.
Yeah, he was a black guy. What they did was they started this big bonfire in a parking lot, and then he drank like, I don't know, a gallon of water or two or something like that in like a minute. Like really
and
fast.
then, yeah,
something that you just can't actually do is drink that much water in one sitting. It's biologically impossible for a natural human's digestive system. And then
my ex-husband used to drink like tons of 2 liters of Mountain Dew. That's not true.
Yeah. Go ahead.
559. What was that?
I said, my ex-husband, I watched him drink double 2 liters of Mountain Dew, and he would time himself so he could do it in less than a minute, and he did not die. He got a heart murmur, but he did not die. So it is possible to do that. And I drank an entire gallon of water.
Mountain Dew's different.
We're talking about distilled water. It does not have any.
Well, it doesn't matter anyway. He drinks several gallons
and
then spouts it out of his mouth like he's like a hose.
Water fountain. I've seen that.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the deadly part of
That's all I drink.
The deadly part about drinking too much water is distilled water. It has no electrolyte in it, no content for electrical field to travel. So but you see,
there's one issue with distilled water that you're talking about. But any water, there's a certain amount which is too much to drink that you literally get like water poisoning.
Yeah, it's toxicity.
It's got there's a certain toxicity because your body doesn't know how to transmute that much water, if you will, through the alchemical process happening in your body.
Well, the woman that died on this contest on this radio show, it was because her body was diluted of any kind of electrolyte, so her neurosystem just shut down.
Yeah, that means she had no salt in her.
I'm not saying that all isn't also a factor, but I'm just making a point of that factor.
The only reason I keep bringing it up is because, like me being an electrical engineer, I'm always, I build my own capacitors with bottles and, salt water and all that stuff. So I know how the electricity runs through the electrolyte. And I know that our bodies require to have a mineral content. You just can't dilute your body of that mineral content, otherwise you'll just shut down, you'll just drop. So I don't know, it's weird. I see electricity in everything I look at, because I think we do live in an electrical universe. I truly believe that. That's why I asked the question, why don't we send our used up plutonium and uranium off to the sun instead of having to build all these crypts, which eventually are going to leak into our water.
Superman 4 is a horrible movie.
Superman 4.
So rectify.
The way
Halos
started Superman 4. He stole all of America and the Soviet Union's nukes, and he put them in a net, and he threw them into the sun.
Right. What's up, Wingman?
So, from what you just said, does that mean distilled water is not good for you?
Not in the large quantity, no. You want to have mineral content in your water, man.
Okay.
Yeah, you can overdose on it.
Yeah, the medium for everything to get around in.
Yeah, for the electrons to jump between your brain and all your vital organs, it travels through the content in the water inside your veins, and it needs to have a mineral content, so.
My biology teacher said it would be almost impossible to overdose on water. The membrane around the cell would have to burst to get water toxicity. It gets really wrinkly around it when you're dehydrated, and then when you're hydrated, it plumps up and it gets nice and hot.
Well, I think it's this binge drinking of the water that.
Yeah, it was a contest. It was a radio show contest for a prize. You can.
It's like waterboarded herself.
You could just put into Google "woman dies radio show overdose water." It'll come up.
Well, talking of superpowers, my superpower is I can swallow air, lots of it, and then do an almighty burp. So it doesn't impress the ladies, but
not unless you can do the ABCs all the way to Z, man, in one burp.
Yeah.
There's actually videos out there on women doing that. That was kind of disgusting when I see that.
It's disgusting.
You feel the same way when you do it.
Yours smell like roses, so yeah.
Yeah.
So, on to another topic, Wingman. Since you were late, I'm going to throw it on you, man. What's on your mind in the UK? What's going on over there?
Oh, what's on my... I went track racing the other day in my RX-8, and which was quite funny. I turned up, ready to go on the track, and one of the stewards looks at me and goes...
Quarter mile or what?
No, just around the racetrack.
Yeah.
You have an RX-8 with you?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I have. I love my car.
Yeah, they're good at that. So I turns up, and the steward looks at me and she goes, "That's a nice car." And I think I translated that as meaning, "Are you sure you want to take that around the track?" So, because it was the kind of the shiniest car there at the time, and I must admit I was quite.
You detail it.
I nearly went off on the first corner into the gravel, so that wasn't a great start. Yeah, but it was exciting. It was something different, But I wouldn't really risk, I shouldn't have risked it. It was a bit silly, really.
Fun fact of the day: the RX series of Mazda was one of the first rotary engines available for consumer purchase, and it's a very efficient and powerful engine.
I love it.
Yeah.
It is. I drove an Audi. I had an Audi A4 before. And I like the RX-8 way better.
Very nice car to drive, and now I've started on a sport. There's all these other sports cars that I want to get now. So
are you racing other people at the same time, or are you just going for time?
No, racing other people as well.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
See, we don't do that here.
I had to wear a crash helmet.
Wow.
But these other cars that I've come across that might be within my price range, and I think, I don't know if you get these in America, but there's a Toyota MR2, Honda S2000, Vauxhall VX220, which is very, very fast. It's like something like 4 seconds, 0 to 60. TVR is another good one. Lotus Elige, and Lotus Exige. They're both very incredible cars as well. So those are the 6 cars I've written down.
I had a British Sterling and a Honda Prelude. Those were my favorite ones to rebuild and make into race cars. The Prelude was like a go-kart. I could do corners at like 45 miles per hour.
Yeah. No, there's certain like racetrack cars you can buy over here for I don't know, equivalent of under $1,000 that will, get you around pretty good. Peugeot have there's an old Peugeot 206 GTI. They're very good around the track. We have Subaru Imprezas. I don't know if you get those over there, but they're very quick.
Yeah, Subaru Impreza. Yeah, they're very.
Yeah.
There's another 6 right there. We were mentioning, the numeral V or 6 and V and Vav and all that good stuff in Hebrew. The monster. But yeah, there's 6 stars on the Subaru logo. That's another 6. And VW, that's 3 6s also. It's VVV. World Wide Web, that's 6 6s. www. It's everywhere you look.
And and also I've been, I don't know, I feel recently I've not been doing so much, not been getting out of the house as often as I should have. So I'm looking into an Ecuadorian conservation biology station, volunteering for that, up there in the Amazon area in Ecuador. Which it looks really interesting. Involves going around to local farmers, visiting shaman, whitewater rafting or rafting generally. I don't know why I said whitewater rafting. Botanical stuff, logging, all these different things about plants and stuff. And I thought I might, go out there and try something like that soon. It was pretty cheap. I need about £1,000 to get out there, which will probably last me a few months. And I just thought I need to try something a bit more exciting, So I'm looking into that at the moment. Sí hablo español.
Hey, Free and Awake, you were saying, wouldn't you think she would, pee it out quicker than she would overdose on the water? Well, Pete in Sacto in the chat room says it was a contest here in Sacramento called Hold Your Wii for a Wii. So it was a contest to win a Wii video game system. So they weren't allowed to pee. That was part of the contest. So thanks, Pete.
So part of this description I was just mentioning, it says, it sounds good, this is what grabbed me, I think. Enjoy the remoteness of the station by canoeing to neighbouring tribes and experience the indigenous cultures of the community there. Visit the home of local shaman and witness rituals and customs like never before. Contrast these cultural endeavours with the adventure of exhilarating whitewater rafting. I was whitewater, there we go. So, I thought I might try it. Go out there. Something to do, innit, really?
I haven't had a vacation in years. I don't know. I don't remember what it's like.
Well, the good thing about this is, it involves conservation, and a little bit of Red Cross humanitarian stuff and, educating farmers and things like this. So, I'm giving something back at the same time.
Yeah, I get you.
Exactly. So I thoroughly recommend people. There's a site. I'm not sure if it's just for I don't think it's just for the UK. Called what I was looking at, oneworld365.org, and there's loads of volunteer programs on there, and they're all pretty cheap to join. So worth looking into.
Would this be the first time you've done this?
Yeah.
So you don't even know what you're getting into really yet.
Not really, but I've travelled most of the world, and it's like, your normal humdrum vacation package holiday doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't really vary that much from place to place. So I think getting your kind of hands-on approach and going somewhere much more remote like the Amazon rainforest, because this is on the verge of the Amazon and the rainforest.
You better bring some bug spray.
Yeah, I mean, I might lose some weight if I get malaria as well, because I'm a few pounds overweight.
See, that's when you're going to need more water because of the diarrhea you're going to get.
Oh, don't say that. That's terrible.
Jeez. So, what are you planning on doing this trip?
Well, meet new people, and I think I like the idea of meeting a shaman.
No, I
and,
mean when the date, like when are you gonna?
Oh, when June? Sorry, June.
So you're not gonna be around for the radio show?
Not unless I get Wi-Fi from the Amazon.
I doubt it, man. You might want to bring a big antenna or a sat phone.
Yeah, no, I have got a solar panel that hooks it up, that powers the laptop though, which would be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
Oh.
I could play the Hunger Games to the shaman or something like that, on the laptop.
You're gonna come back a whole different man, I'll tell you that, if you make it back. But yeah, the Amazon, wow, dude. Stay out of the rivers. There's piranhas.
Yeah, I was thinking of what gifts to give you go to villages and stuff and you meet the shaman. I would imagine you'd want to give a gift.
Cigarettes.
I would anyway. So, well, I was thinking soap, but it's soap an insult? If I give someone a soap to clean themselves,
cigarettes is always a good medium. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, cigarettes is always good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an international peace treaty type of deal. Here's a cigarettes for you.
Yeah. But I'm quite excited about it anyway. Anyone else here who had done any? What's your most adventurous holiday you've done there, Steve, and everyone else?
Adventurous holiday?
Vacation.
Adventurous.
That's translated to vacation.
Vacation, yes. Vacation,
I once went to Hawaii for a lady friend's birthday.
Okay. How was that? Nice?
It was nice.
Which island?
The big island, Oahu.
Never been there.
A what?
Oahu?
Oahu?
Yeah, that's the largest island there. What is
Oahu.
that, 6 or 7 islands?
I don't remember.
My dad was actually born in Hawaii. So, yeah.
Social Security in Connecticut, though?
What?
But the thing I've noticed about holidays is that, you don't want to go to all the touristy areas because you don't see if you're looking for culture, you don't find it where the touristy areas are. You've got to go out on the beaten track and go away from where the tourists are, if anything, to find the gems of the local culture and see what that country really is like from a different perspective, a non-tourist perspective.
Follow the herd mentality. I mean, I take that with me everywhere I go, from driving on the freeways to shopping in the malls to waiting in security scans. There's a door that's wide open right here, and everybody's waiting in line right here. I'm going to take the wide open door and just walk on through. People, there's a tourist map. Buy this, here, tourist bus. Everybody get on, take a tour, and that's what sheep do.
I remember when I went to Cyprus, my heart dropped when I saw a KFC sign. I was like, what? No way, I just wasn't impressed.
It's probably real chicken, though. Raised the real way, fed the real way. They probably still have talons and beaks.
Just about real chicken, probably.
Here they had to change the name to KFC because they started using different product that wasn't so quote-unquote natural. So,
hey, I went to KFC not long ago. I laughed. On the door it said, "The Colonel thanks you." Colonel's probably been dead for about 20 years, and yet he still thanks you.
So, look, you guys got to watch Branded, man. If you haven't watched Branded yet, go watch that movie.
Oh, I've seen it. It's gnarly.
I don't know. I used to work at KFC, and they even grind up all their cabbage and everything for their coleslaw. Everything is super fresh, and it's super clean. It's not like the chicken breasts aren't connected with 10 breasts like they say. Everything looks pretty normal.
Well, KFC, they grow, rumor has it, chickens that don't grow beaks or talons, and they never walk a day in their life, and
That's totally true, but they do that with veal. They do the same thing with veal. I mean, that's how they do veal. Or they just, if you go by these farms where I live in this farm community, you just see the crates where they have them stacked up. They never leave those crates. They get them in those crates and never leave. They chain them up. So that they do that already with cows. So
I'm not sure about the outrageous mutant chicken claims, but all the stuff that they show you in Food Inc. That's all for real.
Yeah, it's probably
Food Inc. is, Food Inc. That's the best place to start your discovery of the GMO universe and everything else that's wrong with American.
The carnivore universe.
Gosh, there was one more before that about GMOs that actually Whole Foods was distributing. I forget what it's called, but I'll remember what it's called.
Naturalnews.com is also a good site to start if you want to start learning about the poisons that we're being fed.
Yeah,
I appreciate that site.
I'm over that.
It's hard to get over it. It's hard to find safe ways around it these days. It's like GMO is part of the Agenda 21 plan to make it the staple on our table, the only thing available.
Yeah. Well, we let it happen with our fault.
What's the best, Tony? What's the recipe? What's your favorite recipe that you throw together here? I'm assuming that you cook.
I do cook, but my husband is really the cook in the house. I thought I knew how to cook until I met him. But
what's his best dish?
What's your best dish? My best dish is I make spinach paneer, Indian dishes, spinach paneer with naan, jasmine rice.
Right on. Okay. So are you a vegetarian or a vegan?
Yeah, I'm kind of vegetarian. My husband and his son are vegetarian, but me and my daughter, I have to still make her like hamburgers. But
right.
I'm mostly vegetarian. Yeah.
So you do like eggs and stuff and milk, and butter, but just you try to stay away from the meat.
Yeah, I try not to have too many eggs because I do love eggs. I try not to have too many eggs because they're very acidic to the body. But yeah, I mean we just try not eat too much meat really.
I got to admit, I'm still a meat eater, and it's hard to get away from it. Sometimes it's because you know what, you need the cholesterol from meat, in my opinion. I mean, number one, we have carnivore teeth. We have our incisors, right, the canines, and number two, our brains are made of fat and cholesterol. So it's you gotta have it. I mean, maybe I guess you could supplement it with like omega-3 and omega-6 fish oil or something. But I think
I got really sick when I became a vegetarian. I got really sick. I got a candida outbreak because I was having too much sugar and too much wheat, and I just got real sick.
Yeah, and anytime you put your body into shock, it's got to change, and the outcome is usually sickness. I mean, I can on a bad day, I can have a glass of water and it'll make me throw up just because my pH is off. So.
Yeah, well, plus my husband was working at Harris Ranch, so we were eating like beef like 3 times a day or something. I mean, we were eating so much beef, and then it was just like one day, boom, no more meat. First it was like no more pork, and then it was like no more meat. So, and then, we were just doing cheese pizzas. It was embarrassing. So I got sick.
You were embarrassed by cheese pizza?
We were eating so much Little Caesars, I'm like embarrassed to say how much it was. But it was so delicious.
Well, I've started...
Wingman, go.
I've started developing intolerances that I've never had before, and I don't know why they've started. It's wheat, and do you know, there's not many foods now I can have that I'm not, intolerant towards. It's just like most foods nowadays seem to... I had like a vegetable soup the other day, and it reacted funny, so...
Right.
I'm not impressed, and I'm sure it's, it's to do with... historically with the foods.
My wife brought me home a clam chowder that was in a clear broth. I was like, what? This isn't clam chowder. Yeah. I wouldn't touch it.
New England clam chowder, red or the white. It was the clear.
Right. It's like, what? It's supposed to be milky white. Come on. There's supposed to be cream.
Hey, that's from way back in the 90s when everything went clear. Don't you remember?
Food is horrible these days. It's so hard to find something that's edible for me. My appetite has diminished in the last 5 years, big time. I mean, it happens slowly.
Do you still have those eat as much as you like lobster places over there in America?
Yeah, it's actually gotten... Here's a trip on this. Since the Fukushima disaster, all kinds of special seafood deals started showing up in fast food restaurants all across the state.
Yep.
Real cheap, too. All of a sudden, we got new on the menu, fish and
20
chips.
pieces of shrimp. 20 pieces of shrimp. $5.
Right, exactly. That made my eyebrows rise. I was like, yeah, no more fish for me.
Yeah.
So-
My husband was like, I don't want that shit. That is no.
Oh, that's the language.
Now we
She
can
didn't want any more fish. She didn't want any more.
Dude, we can say shit. It's in one of our promos.
Okay.
It just can't be
That's
a
it.
cow variety.
Yeah.
You can't say dung though.
Yeah. Don't ask me why.
Yeah, you can't say dung. So do you think? Because when I was in America, I noticed quite a lot of eat as much as you like places. Do you think this contributes to obesity?
Of course.
Speaking of, I was going to ask you about the UK, because here, like, obesity runs rampant, right? How are the women over there, and what is your guys' average diet? Like, what do most people consume over there in the UK?
I think, generally speaking, obesity is not a problem over here in the UK. I mean, there are instances of it, but it's not. It's you don't see obese people walking around that often. Like, I can't say I've seen one this year.
Wow.
Or maybe no, I saw one. Maybe I saw one actually that looked.
Maybe some American tourists.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, probably. But no, it's not that much of a problem over here. And
what do you eat?
Yeah,
what's your guys'
I know what Wingman eats.
diet? Like, what do you guys eat?
well, the most popular English dish is actually curry. Believe it or not, that's the national dish.
A lot of tea, I know that.
Huh?
You guys drink a lot of tea too. I know that.
Yeah, we're tea drinkers. We're tea drinking nation, of course. But we drink coffee as well. But microwave meals. I mean, when I do look around the supermarkets, I don't see much nutrition, to be honest. I really don't. A lot of people go for. I mean, there's one supermarket called Marks and Spencer's over here, and it's practically very kind of posh microwave meals. That's basically the whole store is posh microwave meals. So and I think the skill of actually cooking is people who can actually cook is quite rare. Most people go for the microwave meal, and it's really sad to see, really.
But you guys aren't fat. That's weird.
No. I mean, the women are in pretty good shape, I think, generally speaking.
That just proves that the United States is under a eugenics program, like more harshly as far as our food and water and everything than any other country out there. I mean, just
I don't know. Country to implement eugenics,
especially when you say that you guys living on microwave meals. So it's a bomb.
I'll be honest with you. When I was in America and I walked into one of your supermarkets, I felt like I was in Gulliver's Travels, like a trunk, because everything was so much bigger. All the packets, all the crisp packets, peanut butter jars were huge, and everything was just packaged much.
So you think the
much
portion
bigger
size? People just they have their forks in the mouth a lot more here.
The portions are much bigger over there. I mean, over here you can get a tiny packet of crisps, like about 4 inches by 4 inches, but over there, a packet of chips is like a foot by a foot.
4 inches? Really?
Yeah, that's how big our packets of crisps are.
Oh my god, that's like 4 chips.
They're probably not full of air like they are here.
Well, were they flat?
They're not under the quantitative easing and infinity like we are. So.
And even like if I get a dessert, most of our desserts are about the size of, I don't know if you imagine like about the size of a tennis ball kind of thing. If not smaller. They're really tiny dessert things, So even our desserts come in very small portions.
Here in America, we just get a big bucket and we fill it with all the different frozen yogurts that we want, and we have like 1,000 toppings.
Yeah.
Every other topping, and then we drench it with hot fudge,
like a salad bar.
caramel, marshmallow cream, hard hat, wax chocolate, whipped cream, nuts, cherry. Done. $8.
I agree.
I don't know why. I don't know why that kind of culture of bigger is better.
More. It's not bigger. It's the more. It's the more.
Well, what people don't understand is your stomach is flexible. If you keep the fork out of your mouth for a few days, just go on a short fast, your stomach will shrink. You'll get over that tempting growling sensation that you're feeling starving. It'll go. And your stomach will shrink, so therefore your next portion it doesn't need to be as large.
That 9-1, whatever your name is.
But I must admit, I do, when I go into like a takeaway food place, I do wince when they first started saying, or did wince when they first started saying, do you want to go large? It seems that all these say, do you want to go large? Do you want to go large with that?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, no, I don't want to go large with
more.
that.
We'll give you another gallon of soda. Hey,
Yeah,
you know, wait,
I mean,
what's your diet like, man? Do you cook?
You made a plan.
He might be muted. I can't hear him. Sorry about that. Steve, Travesty, what do you throw in the gobbler?
Oh, God, I cook. I do cook, and I think I'm pretty good at it. I'm half Italian, and I've definitely transferred some of my sensibilities. The last thing I cooked, I made this chicken breast meal that was like something different than what I normally do, where normally I'm doing something sort of Italian-based. This time I did something that was... I don't even know what it was based on, but I made like this kind of thing. I don't remember what the meal was called, is the stupid thing. And but there was a lot of preparing for what was effectively the seasoning that went on the chicken itself, as well as how these beans were prepared that I boiled and cooked up.
It's the science, man. You're in the laboratory when you're in the kitchen. That's how I see it.
Yeah, dude, I have a decent amount of fun with it, and you know, like my girlfriend can't cook for nothing. So.
Right, I'm the same. Well, my wife doesn't either. But do you use measuring equipment? I don't. I do everything by eye.
I do a little bit by eye. There's certain things where I think that the measuring is a pretty good idea. So I've got like a measuring cup and a couple of measuring spoons if I really need to. For things that require like, a half a cup of this, 2 cups of that, et cetera, I usually make sure I get accurate measurements. But if it's like a tablespoon, I'll just wing it based on how I think it proportionately needs to serve the meal. And then there's then I can also do things like I'll tweak the cooking recipe for brownies. Like I'll buy like the brownie mix, but then I'll do things like I'll substitute like almond or coconut milk for regular milk. I'll use like brown sugar, and just add some brown sugar to the mix and little things like that.
Like hot sauce with it too.
And I tried using hemp seed oil as my cooking oil.
Right on.
Which is perfectly legal, by the way.
What's its smoking point? Is it a high smoking point? Can you deep fry in it?
Yeah, hemp seed oil, it burns like a lot, so like it's very easy to like set off your smoke detector when you use that stuff.
So yeah, you wouldn't want to deep fry with it. You just want like light frying purposes only.
Well, I'm not talking about frying. I'm just talking about as the coating on your cooking pan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Teflon coating?
You're still frying. It's just shallow frying. You're not deep frying.
I guess you could say that.
Because deep frying, if you're going to get, throw a chicken drumstick in there or something full of hemp seed oil, if the flash point is too low, you're not going to get to the temperature high enough before you burn down your house to cook the chicken. That's why you can't use olive oil for like deep frying, because it's got a low flash point. So even though I try to use olive for almost everything.
Talking about temperatures, I remember I was quite taken aback when a friend told me I was skiing in the Alps and it was breakfast time. I went to make myself a boiled egg, and then my friend says, you need to boil that for longer, don't you? I was like, what are you talking about? He said, yeah, you need to boil that for like at least 2 minutes longer if you want like soft boiled. I was like, no. He says, yeah, the higher you go up, the lower the boiling point. And I was fascinated with it. Yeah, it's like apparently in the Alps, like the boiling point is like something like 75 Celsius instead of 100. So I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, that's why there's always different, in the backs of different recipe or packages that you buy for the cooking directions. It'll tell you if you're above so-and-so altitude adjust this and adjust that. So,
Oh, did they actually say that? That's quite... That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dear.
I've always wondered about that, but yeah, it's like the barometric pressure difference.
So what about if I'm boiling an egg at the bottom of the ocean? How long do I have to do that for? Do you know? Anyone know?
Never tried it.
Or in space? How long does it take to boil an egg in space? Anyone know?
Hey,
Anyone know?
send an email to the ISS. See what they have to say. That's a good experiment. They should do one.
I doubt if they're allowed to boil
Cooking
anything.
in space. I'm surprised they haven't done that yet.
Yeah, the space cookbook.
They
Exactly.
can't cook up there though because they have too much. It's like almost a lot of high oxygen in that vessel, and it's flammable.
I tell you what, I think I was watching Gravity the other day, and I was fascinated. But there was fire in space looks quite fascinating.
Yeah, I don't.
You've seen fire in space?
No, never been to space yet. But I did read something about, this whole conflict with the Russians going into Crimea and the U.S. and NATO and all this stuff going on, right? And people are saying, the ISS crew now, the American side of it, are going to be stuck because the only transport is Russian. But that's
right.
not true. SpaceX, the private company, they've done missions to the ISS.
Okay.
So, no fear. We still have transport there from the States.
Oh, someone's buzzing. Is that me? Hold on.
Can you guys hear me okay?
You guys?
Yeah, someone's buzzing though. Someone's buzzing. We got a buzzer.
That's you.
You've been space. What was I going to say about
GrayZone Revolution Radio? Freedomslips.com. Once again, we're 100% listener supported. We're at about $400. We got 23 days left to get to 1,900. We do need your help, everybody out there. The only way we can do it, we don't get paid. That all goes to bills, electricity, server, bandwidth, and advertisement. All the people working behind the scenes. You can go and check out what's our new YouTube channel, Steve?
We have a new YouTube channel?
Yeah. You could find it at our homepage.
I think we were having a little bit of trouble with the original YouTube channel. I didn't know we had to make a whole new one.
I think we did, because, you have trolls out there, and they'll go ahead and hit, thumbs down or say there's copyright violation or something, because they're probably hired by the black government to go ahead and just...
I don't think that's...
for us.
There was something about... because I'm just saying that it beats me, but hold on a second. Let me see what the message was that I got.
All right. You can
It says here, our old YouTube channel has become somehow corrupted. I assume it's the way Google is getting rid of legacy YouTube accounts. Our new YouTube channel is /talk.
Just do a search for Revolution Radio on YouTube, all one word, you'll find us. Until next week, this has been Rectify. Everybody have a great week. Peace out.